Hello, everyone. Today we're going to set up a really simple basic network in Cisco Packet Tracer version 8.2.1. We're going to set up a PC, a switch, and a router, and we'll use static IP addresses to get the PC to be able to ping the router. Very simple setup here. First off, we're going to start by clicking Network Devices in the lower left. And then we'll click on Routers. Let's grab a little older router, a 2911, and drag it up into the workspace. I'm going to zoom in to make it larger. And let's click on switches down here in the lower left next, and grab a 2960 switch and put it up here. Then let's click on End Devices in the lower left and drag up a PC. Next, we'll click on the Connections icon, grab a copper straight through cable, click the PC, choose Fast Ethernet 0. Click the switch and choose Fast Ethernet 01. Then we'll click copper straight through again, click the switch. This time we'll use port 24 as if it's a trunk port. And then we'll click the router and choose Gigabit Ethernet 00. Right off the bat, you may notice that the ports connected to the router are red because they're administratively down by default. That's to protect your network. Now, let's configure the router. Click on the router, click CLI for command line interface. We'll answer no to the initial configuration dialog, and then we'll type enable to get into privileged exec mode. Then configure terminal mode to make changes, and we'll set the host name to R1. And we'll type in no IP domain lookup so the router doesn't try to do web searches if we make a typo. It can make the router freeze for 30 seconds, and it can be a little annoying. Next, we'll go to Interface, Gigabit Ethernet 00, and we'll type IP address 192.168.10.254 space 255.255.255.0. Then we'll type no shutdown on this interface to turn it on administratively. Notice we have two messages. One says the copper link changed. That's physical copper connectivity for the Ethernet cable. This other one says that zeros and ones can pass through the interface. We're basically done with the router, but we need to save our changes by exiting back to regular config mode right here. And then we'll type copy running -config. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to type exit again. And then type copy running config startup config and hit enter twice to accept the default file name of startup config. That saves our changes to the hard drive or SD card of the Cisco router. Okay, we're done with the router, but I'm going to make a note here so we know what we did. Up here, we did interface gigabit 00. 192.168.10.254 /24 subnet mask. That tells us what we have right here. In this scenario, because we're adding a static IP, a simple IP to the router, and we're going to add a static IP to the PC, the switch won't need to do anything, any kind of configuration. The switch is automatically going to be on VLAN 1, the default VLAN, and he's just going to go ahead and switch the traffic for us. So this is the most basic router setup we can do. Next, I'll click on the PC. We'll click on Desktop, IP Configuration, and we're going to set it to a static IP, 192.168.10.1, and then 255.255.255.0, which is /24. The default gateway here is going to be the IP address of the router, 192.168.10.254. We don't need a DNS server because we're not going to the internet here. This is just a simulation. We'll close it here. There's no saving it here. We'll just close it. And we'll click on Command Prompt. And we'll see if we can do ping 192.168.10.254. And it should work. Let's make a note here to remind ourselves what we did on the PC. That was 192.168.10.1 /24. In other words, 255.255.255.0. These two IPs here end up being on the same network. That's why the ping works. Let's test it again just to be sure. Back on the PC, I'm going to hit up arrow, ping 192.168.10.254, this interface right here, and it should work. And that's the most basic kind of setup you can do. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching.